Welcome to Rex Arthur Show. And this is a place where we discuss about LGBTQIAAP issues. And we are taking a different approach, more talk, more like radio. Just for a change, we're so used to the video coverage and sometimes it takes a lot of space, and we said no, let's try something else, and this is what we have opted for. And today we want to discuss religion and spirituality. Of course, it's a very long topic and we won't do it in bits. We'll do it in bits rather, because it's very long. And we just want to talk about it because, religion and spirituality are an interesting topic, because they have, religion and sexuality have existed for as long as mankind. And as you all know, the only difference between sexuality and religion is that one is very natural. Is natural, and then the other one is not necessarily natural, though we have the natural ability to believe in something. It's natural to believe in something, but now what happens is there are very many things to believe, and so what happens is many people wonder which one I should believe in. So that's what happens with religion. We don't necessarily call it natural, but it is natural to believe because humans are natural beings. And so why we want to discuss religion and sexuality is because they always rhyme together and they always have clashes together. And when you understand the history of religion and the history of sexuality, you find a very interesting division. And the division is that there were religions that were pro-sexuality and there were religions that were anti-sexuality. And by anti-sexuality, I mean that they had laws prohibiting certain sex acts, and other religions did not prohibit sex acts. They allowed all types of sex acts. They didn't find them any wrong, and so that needs to be cleared. It's not all religion that is anti-sex. There are some religions that are anti-sex, and most of the religions that were anti-sex are the Abrahamic religions, where we have Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Of course, they allowed freedom you could marry, some of them, like in Islam and also Judaism, you could marry more than one wife, you could have a concubine, and other things, and even homosexuality and all of these things took place in all of these religions, even Christianity. We're not saying that just because they're anti-sexual doesn't mean sex was not happening. It was happening, and it is still happening, because we are all sexual beings. We love sex, and we are sexual beings. So basically, we'll always be having sex because we are like that. And so it is. That is how it is with the anti-sexual religions. Then you have other religions that were not anti-sexual, and there are very many in the world. It's just that they are not widespread because they were mostly based in the communities of those where those religions were practiced. So that is what happened when you read the letters of Paul. Paul went to Rome, and Rome was a religious society. The Roman Empire was a religious society, but they allowed gay marriage, they allowed homosexuality. They didn't have any problem with it. But Paul was coming from the Judaic upbringing that was anti-sexual, especially towards homosexuality. And so he was getting conflicts in his thinking. And of course, he wrote the letter to the Romans, to the church in Romans, and telling them, those guys who engage in homosexuality, they don't know, they are exchanging things for the truth and blah blah blah. But then he says something interesting in that Romans. He also says that, but even you who judge those people, you are also doing them. So it ends up being that actually he was saying that we are not different from those people we are judging. So it's clear that though he abhorred the homosexual lifestyle and the gay lifestyle, he knew it was happening, and it was happening even amongst Christians. So it's normal, and it's just that there is a law. There's a law set. There was a law set in the scriptures against it, and that's why we are doing this series of religion and sexuality, to try and find a common ground on the issue. Reason being, right now we have, how we're going to do this whole series is that, number one, we will see how religion responds to sexuality, and then secondly, how sexuality responds to religion, and then thirdly, how religion and sexuality combine together to become one, actually, to become like friends, come together. So today we're just giving introduction to the whole thing of what the whole topic of religion and spirituality. And so, as I've said, the first one is how religion responds to sexuality. We will look at different religions and how they portrayed sexuality, how they defined sexuality, how they defined marriage and all of these things, and love and attraction. Because even sexual attraction, some people think it is evil, and it's not. It's part of love. Sexual attraction is part of love, and we'll go into details when we now talk about the second part, which is sexuality responding to religion. And as we said, many cultures, sex is a natural instinct, and so it is outside religion. You don't need religion to have sex. Yes, you don't need religion to have sex. You will have it whether you're religious or not. So you don't need religion to have sex. And so sexuality responds to religion in such a way that all it wants to do is you're doing it because your body desires the pleasure, it desires the love, it desires the touch, it desires the release, it desires. And when it comes to like heterosexuality, people have sex heterosexually simply for reproduction, to have children. And right now, the world has changed, because we don't only reproduce heterosexually, we reproduce asexually without sex. We have the stem cell reproduction and all of these things. So that's, and the IVF, and you can also have children through adoption and blah blah blah. All of these things are part of life, and we can't ignore them. They are part of our human life. And so, with all of that said, and then now that's sexuality responding to religion, and then we'll come to religion and sexuality combining as one, whereby the anti-sexual religions are now beginning to embrace the sexual diverse people. And this is out of a very powerful theology that is being called queer theology, or is also being called affirming, whereby you affirm sexual diverse people and you accept them for who they are, because this is coming from us, from the source of knowledge, that we have now known that it is physically true. It is physically true that LGBT people are real. They are not just, it's not hocus pocus. Before, in the past, people used to think these guys are doing very dirty things in secret. But then they got to realize that some people, their identity, it's just who they are. They are just queer. They're intersex. They have two sexual organs, different sexual organs. And sometimes you may even have one, but, you're still intersex, and all of these. And transgenders, they feel they are another sex when they are another sex. And remember, feeling is natural. So you cannot attack a transgender and tell them you were born a man, so you cannot be a woman. No. If that person feels the urge, that urge is very natural. It is something happening in them. It is psychological. And I'm of the school of thought that psychological awareness and psychological experience is physiological. Because if your mind is switched off, you will not feel pain, you will not feel anything, you will not know anything. But when your mind is on, you will feel something. If I step on you, you're going to feel pain. And this pain has been processed not only through the physiological body part, which has the stimuli, the touch, and the response that sends it back to the brain, the message, but also the mind is intertwined. It's also connected to the physiological stimuli system, so that your mind now tells you, actually, someone has stepped on me. What should I do? Should I scream? Should I laugh? Or should I do nothing? So that is how physiology and psychology connect. And that is what we're going to talk about with religion and sex and sexuality combining. So we are very grateful for the LGBT affirming ministries around the world that are gradually coming. It's not easy, especially when you're dealing with religions that are anti-sexual. Of course, there are other religions that are pro-sexual. They are very sexually liberal, and so we are not having a problem with those religions, but we are having a problem with religions that are anti-sexual, or what I say, they are anti-sexual diversity or anti-LGBT. And yet the religion they carry, when you take the positive parts, that God is love, and God is he created all and is the father of all, then you'll find that actually he's also the father of LGBT people. He also loves them. He also cares for them. He's also concerned of them, and he even blesses them. He keeps them. That's the new theology. It's not new, actually. It has always been there if you're a religious person. Yes. So that's what we're going to do. And I hope you'll enjoy the series. We'll take it a bit laid back, but loaded with history, and hopefully we're going to have the future talks, because not only do we want to focus on the past, we also want to focus on where we're going as a people in the LGBTQIAAP in the LGBT QQIAAP movement. Thank you so much. I was actually concluding. So thank you so much. See you next time.